Okay, I was muted. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Let me know where you are joining from. Let me know where you're joining from. Mm, welcome, welcome, welcome. Uh, okay, so this one. So today, how many people were here yesterday? Welcome. Today, we're going to be continuing in this series where I'm talking about how you can raise responsible and independent children. Yesterday, we talked about, building trust, and we talked about effective communication. I mean, these are very important pillars when you're talking about raising a child who will be independent and responsible. And so today, we're going to be continuing. I mentioned yesterday, today was going to be more practical, where I'll be sharing relatable tips that can help you, get that responsibility entrenched in your children, right? So today we're going to be focusing on the roles of routines, how routines help, how you can actually implement your routines such that everybody is carried along. This is so important. So thank you to everyone who's here. Let us know where you're joining in from. And for those who do not know me, my name is Sandra Oluwadare. I am a parenting coach and a child development consultant, and I support parents to raise wholesome and well balanced children who can thrive in today's world. I also help parents, just raise that family, just nurture that family where everyone is on the same page and everyone is enjoying a harmonious relationship. All right, so I'm just going to dive into the session straight away. And like I said, I'm going to be talking about the roles of routines and structure in getting your children to develop responsibility. Now, when we talk about routines, what do routines do for us as a people? What do routines do for us, as parents? I want us to understand that everything that you see working, whether it's working or not, is run by a system. Everything runs by a system, and every system is run by a script, right? Things do not just happen like that. Things do not just, you just don't come about certain things. If there's anything that is happening, whether it is right or wrong, it is running on a system, or it is powered by a system, and that system is being run by a script. That system is being run by a script. So I want you to understand that whatever you see in your family, whatever you see happening in your family, it's a system. It's a system that you have created intentionally or unintentionally. And that system is being powered by a script. So I'm going to ask you, what kind of script is powering your system as a family? And based on this conversation, one of the things that I would like you to understand is that your routines can actually be a blessing to your family. The routines you create can become one of the scripts that powers your family system. This is so important. This is so important. All right. Now, the first thing I would like to talk about is to highlight what a routine does to your family, what a routine does to you as a person. Now, routines provide structure. Routines give you this sense of predictability, right? You know that, okay, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm going to do is to pray. And after praying, I'm going to brush my teeth, get to the bathroom, do this, do that, and my day begins, right? For someone else, it may be that, oh, once I wake up in the morning, I go do my exercises, my stretches, I listen to a podcast, and then I do this and do that and do that, and my day begins. right? A notion, you already have a notion of what to expect on a daily basis. For those who are career people, they already have their job description. They know what to do. They know what is expected of them. They know their deliverables, for work that day. And I want us to realize that our children need this as well. It's not just you that should know what to expect on a daily basis. Our children should also have an idea of what to expect. It leaves them less confused. Some children are very confused right now. They don't even know what to expect. And so they are walking on eggshells in the home. They are walking on eggshells around you. And that is not a good thing at all. Yesterday, I stressed the fact that a home is a heaven. A home is supposed to be a safe space for every member of the family. So, can you imagine a child walking on eggshells in his own home? So, where do we expect the child to be comfortable? When he's at his friend's place or when he's at a neighbor's place, right? So, routines give children a sense of direction. They know what to expect. They know that every Monday, this is what we do. Every Saturday, everybody is coming out to clean the house. They know that on Sundays, when we leave our place of worship, this is what we do. We visit our grandparents, or we eat out as a family, or we come back home and play games and all of that. Routines just help your children have a better understanding of what is expected of them. And when children follow a routine, when children follow a routine, they are able to manage their time because they know that once I get back from school, if I'm able to finish up my homework, if I'm able to, do my chores, the chores assigned to me, if I'm able to take a nap, mommy would allow me watch TV for 30 minutes. Mommy would allow me play my games for, 30 minutes and all of that. When children understand their routines, when children know they have routines, they are able to manage their time effectively. So if you are looking at raising a child who will be responsible, you cannot just do without routines and say, you, these children, you are not responsible and all of that. No. And that was why I said yesterday that before you now come out to say, this child is a problem child, this child is stressing me, you, the parent, you need to have ticked all the boxes to be sure that you have done your part. You need to be sure that you have done what is expected, because how do you expect a child to be responsible when you have not created, even if it is an informal routine, even if you don't have it written down anywhere, you've not told the child that this is what you're expected to do, that is what you're expected not to do. And we just expect that we just assume that the children would know what to do. No, that would be very unfair. So when you have routines, you are introducing structure into your home. You are introducing some form of predictability into your home. Now, the next thing that um, routines do for you as a family is that it builds good habits, right? Like I mentioned earlier, children know what is expected of them. They know what to do and what not to do. And so this shapes their habits. Because as a parent, I'm sure I'm sure in your routine, you are not going to put, disempowering activities, except you really don't have an idea of what you want to achieve. But when it comes to creating routines, in fact, that's when you see a lot of parents really manifesting their parenthood. They would outline everything that, the child is supposed to do and what the child is not supposed to do. So when the child has this document or this thing that you have created, it is able to shape the behavior, it is able to shape the habits of the child. So if the child was fond of always playing when he gets back from school, with the introduction of routines, the child begins to understand that no, I cannot just come back from school and begin to play. There are certain things I need to do before I get to play, right? So this just has a way of helping you achieve your goal. Now, what this does when it comes to developing responsibility in your child is that your child feels secure. Your child is empowered. Your child is even able to tick the boxes. Your child knows that, okay, if I finish my homework, oh, I can tick that. I have done that. If I finish doing my chores, I can tick that. Now, what this does to the brain of the child is that it is creating something. It is creating a map. It is creating a structure where, or a structure the child can follow. And the good thing is that this structure is now something the child will carry on to different areas of his or her life. In our Academy for Children, for 2 weeks now, we've been talking about goal setting, even for the young ones, for them to understand that, and we have been able to apply it to different areas of their life. Their reading goals, their chore goals, their exercise goals, different routines that they actually came up with as regards goal setting. This really has a way of helping the children. Now, this also reduces anxiety and stress. Why do I say this? Because when children know what to expect, they're not walking on eggshells. They know that, if I do what I've been asked to do, or if I do what is expected of me, then I'm fine, right? I'm not stepping on mommy's toes, I'm not stepping on daddy's toes, and all of that. So the stress is reduced, the pressure is reduced, anxiety is reduced. And this is what we actually want for our children. And then the next thing that your routine will do for you is that it just creates this safe and secure environment for the child. The child knows that I am not crossing my boundary if I do this. The child knows that I can play as much as I want so long as I have completed this, that task. Do you understand? So the child feels more secure. Unlike a child that doesn't know what to expect, the child doesn't know when he's stepping or crossing the line. The child doesn't know when you are going to explode, right? This is so important for the emotional, mental health of the child. They feel secure. They know that, okay, so I'm not crossing the line. I'm not doing anything that is irregular or abnormal. Do you understand? We want children to be in a safe space. We want them to be in a secure space where they are able to flourish. Because if, let me liken this environment I've been talking about since yesterday to a farmer's, soil. A farmer has already tilled the soil. The farmer has prepared the soil for the planting season. But then he puts the seed in the soil, and every 2 days he begins to uproot, he begins to disturb the soil. Today he will come, put this one, put that one, uproot, trying to check whether the seed is growing, and he's not just allowing that seed breathe. That is the same thing that happens to some children. The kind of environment they find themselves, they are not secure. They don't know what to expect. Today, mommy can come and shout. Tomorrow, the same thing that made mommy shout yesterday will make her to start laughing. And then the child is confused and wondering, how can I even please these people? What can I do that can be good in the eyes of my parents? Why? Because they are not in a stable environment. They are in a volatile environment where anything can explode at any time, right? So when you have your routines and your structure in place, the children feel safe, they feel secure, they have a stable foundation, they know that there's a framework that they are working with. And this just gives them peace, this reduces stress, and it just makes them thrive better, right? Now, the next thing that routines will do, remember, we're talking about how to raise your child to be responsible and independent. What are the situation where you have a routine but the child doesn't follow through unless you remind her? Okay, I'm going to come to that, Mrs. Awayi. I'm going to come to that. Thank you for that question. Right. So the next thing is teaching time management. Your routines will help help your child to, and this is one of the challenges a lot of children have. A lot of children are not time conscious. They feel that they can wake up and do anything at any time. But one of the greatest skills that children can actually have from a young age is time management. Even adults, this affects a lot of adults a lot. You find them running late most of the time and all of that. This is as a result of, you know, uh, um, a low level of time management skills, right? And once you have your routines and your structure in place, your children will be more conscious about timing. because as you are creating that routine, you are allocating time to each activity. You're saying, okay, so you're going to be reading for the next 30 minutes. So from 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., you should be seated reading your books. From 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., you can go to play. From 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., you start getting ready for bedtime, right? And after having your bath and all of that, you come for dinner, and then you go back to bed, you go back to your room and read your bedtime story and all of that. So once you start from a young age, you give them these routines with the time slots allocated, you are trying to instill something in them. And like Mrs. Elizabeth said, even if it looks like they're not following through at this time, but you are creating a consciousness in them that there are tasks and there are time slots allocated to each task, right? That is what it does. So even if it looks like they are not delivering on that promise, even if it looks like they are not following through, they already have an idea that when you are doing things, when you are planning, like we've been dealing with planning and prioritization in the academy, for the children. They already know that when you are planning, when you want to do something, you need to allocate time to what it is you want to do. So that is, even if they are not giving you what you want 100%, but you are creating something in them, you're creating an understanding in them that they will now carry on into different areas of their life. Another thing routine does is that it encourages independence. And this is what we're talking about. Routines will help your children carry out tasks on their own. You won't need to be disturbing them, right? So there are cases where they are not following through, which I'm going to respond to later. But once you have your routines, most times the children will carry out their tasks themselves, especially if these tasks are age appropriate. If you have not given them something that is beyond their capacity, they would carry it out. In fact, most children are even eager. They're even eager to tick. So when you are even giving routines, give them something that they can actually check, something they can mark. Because there's this thing it does, even up until last night, as I was finishing my to-do list, as I was ticking, ticking the things I had done gave me pleasure, right? So it also works for children. Don't just say, okay, you are going to do this. Create a checkbox, draw a box, right? Where they can tick to say, okay, I've read, I have played, I have done this. It brings a sense of fulfillment. And when these children are seeing that, oh, I'm ticking off my task, they will be motivated to do that in every other thing they're supposed to do. You'll find that when they want to read, maybe during the summer break, they will say, okay, I'm going to list all my tasks, everything I want to do this summer break. I'm going to list all of them. And this is how I'm going to be checking everything. Anyone I do, I'm going to be checking and all of that. And you realize that children become more independent. They want to do these things themselves, right? This is so important. Children can develop responsibility and independence when you give them routine. So don't just, for parents that complain that, these children, they don't do anything, they are just there. You can actually make them more responsible. If you don't tell children what to do, don't assume that they know what to do. You have to comfort and tell them. You have to, a lot of parents just assume that, oh, she should know how to clean her room. She should know how to sweep. She has been seeing me sweep. No, you have to call her intentionally and take the broom and say, okay, this is how we sweep. Don't just assume that because she has been seeing you sweep, she knows what to do. Don't assume that because she sees how you lay the bed, then she knows what to do. Intentionally call her and say, okay, today I want to teach you how to make your bed. And then begin to teach her. It's not going to happen once. Teach her over and over again. And you realize that, after some time, she's able to do an amazing job. So if you want your children to be independent, you need to give them tasks. Give them there's no what's it called? There's no hard and fast rule to this one. Outline everything you want them to start doing and put a time limit to it. Children cannot be responsible if they are not doing stuff. If you are not introducing them to cooking, you are not introducing them to problem solving, you're not introducing them to critical thinking, they can't do anything themselves. You're just going to be jumping in all the time to salvage the situation. Now, when it comes to, remember I said we're talking about routines, the roles of routines. We're also looking at the age appropriate responsibilities, and then I'll be talking about how you can implement these routines, right? So now when it comes to age appropriate responsibilities, there are some parents who actually heap more than the child can bear on the child, right? It may be that those parents may not know, because how some of us were raised was that a lot of us had to do so much, right? And what we need to understand is this: teaching a child to be responsible is not about heaping everything that is called pressure on the child. That's not the way to teach a child to be responsible. Responsibility can be taught even when the child is doing simple tasks. You're holding them accountable, right? So it's not in the volume of work that you heap on the child, right? We need to also understand that a lot of children are carrying so much emotional baggage on their tiny shoulders. And some of this is coming from the kind of task, the kind of chores that children are doing. So, whatever chore you are assigning to your child, whatever task you are assigning to your child, must be age appropriate. It must be something that the child is capable of doing, right? This is so important. So, I have listed here some age appropriate things that children can do based on their age. So, for children between the ages of 2 to 5, they can start putting away their toys after they play. I said yesterday that any child that knows how to eat, especially the ones that are of age, they must know how to cook. I'm not saying that you should now start forcing your 3-year-old or 6-year-old to cook because they are eating. No, just use your discretion. It depends on how how your child hits their growth milestones. It depends on how fast they are able to develop, right? Some 5-year-olds are very mature, right? Some 8-year-olds cannot do what some 5-year-olds are doing. And please do not compare your children. Don't start saying, but this child can do this and do that. Work with the child you have, not the child you wish you had, not the child that you have pictured in your mind that by 8 my child should be cooking, by 7 my child should be cooking. What if your child stones that fast? What if you are still struggling to get your child um uh, uh, to have their cognitive skills refined? What if your child is still struggling to hold things? What if your child is still struggling to hold her pencil, and then in your mind you already said, by age 6 my child should be able to write from 1 to 1,000? What if your child is still learning to hold the pencil? So you need to work with the child you have, right? Not the child that you have pictured in your mind. I'm not saying it's not okay to have your goals for your children, but at the same time, so that you don't drag your children too much, so that you don't pressure them unnecessarily, you need to walk with their milestones, right? Very important. So from 2 to 5, they should be able to put away their toys after playing and strewing their toys all over the place. They should be able to pack their toys, right? And then, if you want them to pack their toys, that means you should provide a space where they can dump those toys. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we have expectations, but we don't have any structure in place to for that child to implement that expectation. You want the child to pack his toys after playing. Where is he going to pack them into? Are you providing a box, a container, a bag, or a space in the room where the child can move the toys to? This is very important. Children ages 2 to 5, they should be able to, assist when you are trying to maybe set the table for meals. They can hand you a plate, they can give you the cup, they can pass you the spoon, and all of that, right? They can put their dirty clothes in the laundry basket. So they're not supposed to be leaving their clothes everywhere. From that age, they can, as they take off their clothes, show them where to put the clothes and let them drop their clothes there. From this age, they can actually brush their teeth without supervision, even if you're still going to supervise them, but you know that, you know, It's not you all the time holding the toothbrush and brushing their teeth. Give them opportunities, even if they're not going to do it well, let them start doing it and then you can come in later, right? Now, what this does is that you are teaching these very young children basic responsibility skills like cleanliness. And this is a big deal because we have lots of children today who do not have these skills. They can't take care of their basic needs. Their parents do everything for them. Dirty clothes will be scattered all over the place, right? So from this young age, you are teaching the children that no, this is what you have to be clean. You have to put your dirty clothes away from your clean clothes, learn to brush your teeth, and all of that. Don't do for them what they can do for themselves. You can assist, you can guide, but let them begin to try these things out. And then for children between the ages of 6 to 9, they should be making their bed in the morning. Let them make their bed in the morning. They can begin to pack their school bag, right? They can begin to set the table and clear the table after the family has dinner or lunch or whatever it is. Let them clear the table. If you are going to do it together, it's okay, but they should not just finish eating and walk away. They can clear the table and they can also set the table. If you have maybe pets or something, they can assist in taking out the trash or whatever. When it comes to taking care of pets, for those who keep pets, it depends on the kind of pets, though. We need to be careful here. But what I'm saying is, responsibility is something that grows, right? It's not something that just jumps on the children. It's something that you need to nurture, and it is in every child. That's why when parents complain that this child is not working, this child is not doing this and that, when did you start? And it's not even about starting. How are you making that responsibility fun for the child? How are you making that chore fun for the child? I want you to cast your mind back to when we were growing up. When you were growing up, did you like doing chores? Most of us did not like doing chores because the chores were boring. The chores were not interesting. So that's why I always tell parents to, from time to time, put yourself in your child's shoes. Some of the things that we're complaining that our children are doing now, we did those things. Now, walk backwards and begin to imagine why you did not like doing those things. And then see how you can make those things more fun for your children. For example, chores. We didn't like chores, but do you know that you can actually gamify your chores? You can turn your chores right now into games for your children, right? You want them to go to the bathroom and they don't want to go, they don't want to have their bath. Okay, um let me see, the first person to get to the bathroom, I'm going to give that person two pats on the back. Pam pam. The first person that is going to get to the kitchen, I'm going to give that person 10 high fives. Pam 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 pam. The first person that is going to make his or her bed, I'm going to give that person a fist bump. Do you understand? Gamify your chores. When you gamify the chores, the children feel excited. The children begin to look forward to the chores. Okay, we want to take the trash out. Okay, you take the trash out. Let's see who gets to the door first and all of that. Yeah, I know you may say, Sandra, who has time for all of those things? When I'm thinking about how to get by, I will now be playing games around in the house. I know that you may be thinking that way right now, but what's the goal? The goal is to get your child to do their chores. And parenting is a lot of sacrifice, right? You will do what you have to do to get the results you want. If you want these children to be responsible, especially when you have now observed the personality of your child. If your child is a creative, we have children who are creatives. Those kinds of children, they look unserious. You think they are not serious. They come back from school. Those are not the children that will rush off to go and pick up their homework. You think they are not studious. Those are the children that will play around. It is at the last minute they will go and bring out their homework. It is at the last minute they want to read. You think they are not intelligent. Those children are actually very intelligent. That is just their personality. And you are there comparing them to their brother or their sister. You're like, don't you see your sister? Immediately she gets back, she's doing her homework. No, ma. They have different personalities. And that's your child who is a creative. Is also an amazing child. It's just that the child has been wired differently. And so we find parents now punishing that child and saying, you are not serious. You can't even dress well. You can't. Those are the children that one socks will be here, the other one will be there. Those are the children that one shoe will be here, the other one will be in another place. Those are the children that when they get back from school, their shirts will be downstairs, the other part of the uniform will be in another location. Those are creatives, right? Creative convertibles. That's what we call them. Do you understand? So, especially if you have a child like that, they want fun. They are fun lovers. Those are the children that they are very particular about their look. They will dress up, they are looking at themselves in the mirror, they study how they look, they are very self aware. Those are creative, they are the life of the party. Wherever they get to, hey, everybody's like, yeah, 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 they are here. They are very flashy. Do you understand? Now, those children too, they can make promises, but they don't keep their promises because they would begin one thing, jump to the next, jump to the next. It's difficult for them to complete a task. Do you understand? But it doesn't mean they are bad. It is your duty as a parent to now study and observe the child you have and know how to relate with that child. So imagine a creative as a child and you are giving that child boring chores to do. You are saying, wash the plate. You are saying, go and throw out the trash and all those things. It's not fun to them. You are the one that will find a way to gamify it and make it fun and say, okay, when you're washing the plate, music is going to be playing, or we're going to be doing some moves and all of that. You know, just find a way. You know your reality. I'm speaking from our reality. You know your reality. You know where you live. You know what you are able to do that is within your capacity. Just do it. I want you to remember something. This is a phase. Once they have learned it, they have learned it. Once you have instilled that responsibility, once you have nurtured it in them, it is there. You have already planted the seed. So whatever it will take you, whatever sacrifice you will make, if it's for you to be dancing with them when they are washing plates, do it. Because once that seed is planted, then they will begin to do it even when you are not there. But say you are starting out and you just want everything to be hard and fast, rigid, my way or the highway. No, they might not follow you. And I'm also answering your question, Mrs. Elizabeth, right? Try to find ways to gamify all of those things on the routines, and you find that they will begin to comply more. And so, children between ages 6 to 9, they should be able to do their homework with minimal supervision, right? And they should also begin to help with meal preparation. What this does is that it helps them to you're teaching them to begin a task and complete it. You're teaching them to begin a task and complete, which is very important, right? And then you are also helping them build their self confidence, right? When parents say their children don't have good self esteem and all of that, this is part of it. If you are not giving children the opportunity to be responsible, their confidence level will be depleting because they will feel that, "Ah, I can't even do anything good. Mm, come on to tie my shoe. Mommy will not even allow me tie my shoe. She will tie my shoelace by herself. She will button my shirt by herself. She will carry my plate away by herself. She will cook for me by herself. So what can I do?" And they begin to think that maybe they are good for nothing. Do you understand? So you do your children a disservice when you don't allow them do things, right? Now, for children between ages 10 to 12, they can begin to keep their room clean, tidy, organized, right? They can complete their homework on their own, take out the trash, they can even assist you with shopping. They can cook meals. They can take care of their younger siblings with supervision or without supervision, right? This is so important. But don't forget what I said earlier about understanding their developmental milestones so that you don't overburden a child who is still trying to hit a particular milestone. But because you are like, oh, at 7, they should know how to cook, and you're beginning to drag your child who has not even hit the milestone of a 3-year-old. Do you understand? We need to be fair with them. All right. I'm not saying don't have goals, but everything we're doing with our children should not just be age appropriate, but milestone appropriate, right? This is so important. Now, what this does is that you are teaching your children how to handle complex tasks with little supervision. You're teaching them how to follow through, especially, I talked about the creatives, right? These children that it looks like they abandon tasks, they can't finish one thing. These are the children that must be on a routine. If you have noticed that your child is this child that I have described, they must be on a routine. If not, you will keep pursuing them around the house. You will keep talking and talking, and they will not learn. So they must be on a routine. Very important. And then for the teenagers, 13 to 18 or 19, they should be able to manage their own schedules, do their own laundry. Even younger children can even do their laundry. They should be able to prepare full meals for the family, right? So your teenager should actually be able to say, okay, I'm in charge of dinner for this week. That they will prepare a complete meal, not just frying egg, right? They prepare a complete meal for the family. This is so important. These children should be able to handle more significant, household chores. They should be able to do things like deep cleaning, right? Clean the bathroom properly and all of that, not just surface area cleaning. All those ones are for younger children, right? Remember, I said that you do your children a disservice if you don't engage them properly, right? They won't know how to do things. And don't forget that, let me take the weekends, for example. Technically, a child is an adult when he's 18. Multiply 18 by 52. So we have 52 weeks per year, right? 52 Saturdays times 18. That is how much Saturdays you have before your child becomes an adult. Now, so when do you want to start engaging them? 18 times 52 is not a really long time. Do you understand? So we need to understand that whatever it is we need to do, whatever sacrifice we need to make to ensure that our children are carried along when it comes to making sacrifice, we need to have those things done. If it means you having to play along with your children, so for young ones, for the younger children, for example, who say, oh, I don't want to make my bed and all of that, and they can make their bed. You can say, okay, we are going to dance while making our beds. And so while the child is making his bed, you are dancing. You say, hey, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You are hyping the child. Hey, that's my baby girl, that's my boy. You are hyping the child. By the time you finish hyping the child, he has finished making the bed. But when you sit down, you're like, you must make that bed today. I said you will make that bed today. You may not achieve your goal. So that's what I mean when I say that if you need to do what you need to do, you have to do it. Don't forget that you are hyping the child to make his bed now. In the next 2 years, you won't need to do that. Even in the next 6 months, you may not need to do that because it would have been entrenched in the child. The child would already know what to do. This is so important. So you want to raise a responsible child. It is not by mouth. It is not by shouting. It is not by saying this was how I was raised. What structure have you put in place? And that's why I always say, before you bring a child to say, oh, this child is a problem child. This child is disturbing us in this house. This child cannot do anything. Bring your script. What script have you put in place? I said something earlier. I said everything you see, whether it is working well or not working well today, is running by a system. And every system is run by a script. Your family, as it is now, is running by a system. Whatever you see, if the children are not listening to you, they are not. That is a script that has been provided, right? So it is important that we understand this so that we are prepared for the journey, so that we know that this is not the time to flex. This is not the time to catch cruise. This is the time to lay a solid foundation because the time of flexing is coming, right? This is so important. No child just begins to misbehave overnight. No child came to us, as children who have challenges with their behaviors and all of that. A lot of things came into play, a lot of factors came into play to program the child to be that way so quickly, which is the last part of today's session. I'll be talking about, implementing your routines. How do you now implement those routines? It's not about creating routines. How do you get them to follow these routines? Mrs. Elizabeth, I guess your question is going to be answered in more detail in this session. Right now, you need to establish daily routines. So When I've been talking about routines, I'm not talking about monthly routines. Yeah, we have monthly routines, we have your annual routines or your weekly routines, but you need to focus on the daily routines because these children are young. They need to do those things consistently so that it can become a part of them, right? So, yeah, take a working with the child you have, not the child you wish you had. Yes, correct. So you need to ensure that these routines are happening on a daily basis. And you want to start simple. Let your routine be basic. I've been emphasizing on age appropriateness, and simplicity. Don't go and heap because your cousin's child is cooking edikaikong or banga soup and your child can only boil egg or start saying but this one can cook a whole soup and you can't do it. No, don't work with your child based on what you have created in your head or in your mind. Follow your child according to how they are developing. Now, I am not saying that you should not have goals. I'm not saying you should not bring your child up to speed, but that's why you need to be a student of your child. You need to know how your child operates, right? Don't condone laziness. If you discover that your child is taking you for granted, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Don't condone it, but you don't want to pressure your child. There's so much the children are dealing with. Have you seen their school bag? Even the young ones, do you see the volume, the amount of books that they carry? So many things, right? And I emphasized this yesterday that the home is a habit. It should be a safe space for every member of the family. So don't let pressure now choke them in the home, right? Once it is something they can do, once it is something they are capable of doing, they have to do it. But don't overburden them. Very important. So you want to start simple and then be specific. And as you start simple, you can now begin to gradually add more responsibilities, right? Gradually. So if the child was able to sweep the living room, the child has been sweeping the living room for 2 months, and then you can say, okay, begin to sweep every other part of the house, sweep the entire house, right? So you can gradually begin to add responsibilities and you want to be clear on your expectations. Don't just say, go and clean your room. No, make your bed, separate your clean clothes from your dirty clothes. Ensure that your bathroom is clean, close the door, hang the foot mat, or take the mop outside. Be clear. Don't assume that you are not your child. Don't forget that the child's brain fully develops from around 25 years. Can you imagine? A whole 25 years. And some parents will now stand and be saying, the child should understand now. Your own brain is fully developed. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking, is not fully developed in the child. So that's why when you are arguing with your child, you are coming down from your level to the child's level. You are allowing the child draw you into a power struggle. A child that is still, his brain is not fully developed. So don't assume that they know. Even if your teenager can see the middle of your head, even if they are very tall, don't assume that. Be clear. What do you want them to do? Go to the market, buy me this, buy me that. Don't just say go shopping so that they can meet your expectation, so that they can deliver on that expectation. This is very important. They are preparing for bedtime. Tell them what to do, at least before they now get used to the routine. Go to the room, take off your dirty clothes, put them in the laundry basket, go to the bathroom, have your bath, come out, wear your pajamas, lay on your bed. I'll come and join you. We'll read a best bedtime story and pray, and then you go to bed. Clear expectations. Don't just say, go upstairs and prepare for bedtime. They will go upstairs and lie down on the bed. They won't have their bath because you said they should go and prepare for bedtime and they've laid on the bed. So you need to be very clear on what you want them to do. And then you need to be consistent. Let things happen consistently. So if bedtime is by 7 p.m., let it be so. Do you understand? If time to play is by 4:30 p.m., let it be so. So that their system can get used to that routine, right? There are some children and they know that by 11 a.m. I must take a snack. I must take a snack. Why? Because in school, Once it's 11 a.m. or 10 a.m., it is snack time. They are used to it already. So when now that they are coming, they'll be on holiday. Once it's 10 or 11, you see they'll start itching. They'll start itching. Something must enter their mouth because they are used to having snack during break time in school at this particular time. That is what consistency in your routines can do for your children. They know that by 2 p.m. or 12 p.m., it is lunchtime. Their body is ready. Do you understand? So make sure your tasks fall within the same time slot, right? Then make it fun. Incorporate fun into your routine. Don't, if you are an MD, you are a managing director, or you are a CEO outside, people call you madam or guy or whatever it is, outside. When you are in your home, it's a different ball game entirely. Let me quickly wrap up in the next 10 minutes. It's a different ball game entirely. Don't come home and be doing Oga. It's not right at all. You need to get down from your pedestal and be at the same level with your children. So if you need to incorporate fun into the task and all of that, do it. Play. you know you can roll on the floor. Just ensure that you are getting to their level, and when you are at that level, you are in sync. They are able to comply with your instructions. They are able to bond with you. They are able to connect. Even at that time where you are in sync, you can now even begin to give more instructions. Trust me, they will comply because you have you have connected, and they are truly paying attention to what you are saying at that time. And then another thing you want to do to ensure that they implement the routines is that you also model the routines. You can't be teaching your children to cook, for example. Yes, I know that you may have a chef, right? Yeah, you may have a chef, but please, I want you to understand that children would mirror you. They will do what they see you do. So even if you have a chef, sometimes come into the kitchen and cook simple meals, right? Let them see you doing these things. You can't say you want them to be um, reading or doing a particular thing and they never see you reading. You want them to have a love for learning. They never see you learning. They never see you in any class, even if it is online. They never see you doing anything that pertains to learning. You have to model the routine. You want them to be responsible. You have to model responsibility. They have to see you also waking up, doing certain things. Even if your routine is stuck in your head, write your own routine out too. Write it out and show them this is mommy's routine, this is daddy's routine. Let them see you ticking your tasks that you have also completed. I know that this might be you having to go the extra mile. This might be more work for you, but remember, you are just laying a foundation. A time will come when you don't even need to do these things with them. A time will come when you don't, for example, your teenager now, if you have a teenage child, do you need to be reminding them to say, okay, we are going to church, go and have your bath? Most likely they already know that, oh, we are going out. They already know that I wake up in the morning, I need to bathe. You are not pursuing them, apart from those that they've developed that habit of not wanting to have their bath. But you are not pursuing them to say, you must have your bath, you must have your bath, just the way you were pursuing your 2-year old. Do you understand? So sometimes these things are in phases. Sometimes they will outgrow these things. But if for you to bank on the fact that they will outgrow these things, you also need to be sure that you are doing the right thing. Ensure that you are not keeping quiet. Ensure that you are correcting bad behavior, so that even when you know that they will outgrow some of these things, they know, they are hearing it, that this is not acceptable, that is not acceptable. Don't just say they will outgrow it and then you sit down. Anything they like, they do. They have their bag by 12 p.m. You are sitting down there, they will outgrow it. No, you have to be talking. One of the elements of parenting is talk. You will talk. You will correct a lot. Yeah. Because even us, before we got here, we had to hear these things over and over again. This is so important. And then you can also even perform some of these routines with your children. I said that earlier. Another thing that would help your child implement these routines is also flexibility, and even on your part as well. You need to be flexible, right? You need to tweak these routines as your child is evolving. For example, maybe bedtime for your toddler was 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Your child is now 12, your child is 13. Bedtime can be 9 p.m., right? It can be 8 p.m. It depends, right? You can say, okay, for your 2-year-old or your 5-year-old, they could watch TV maybe at maybe for 20 minutes or 30 minutes daily. You can now say, okay, now that you're 13, now that you're 12, you're 8, you're 9, you can watch for 40 minutes, you can watch for 1 hour, and all of that. Do you understand? So you tweak your routine as your children grow, as they are evolving. This is very important. You need to be flexible. Flexibility does not mean that you are going to be taking nonsense or they'll be taking you for granted. No, flexibility is you understanding the peculiarities and the needs of your child and seeing how you can come in at different angles to ensure that the child is being empowered to thrive. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is to highlight why you need to be consistent. I talked a lot about consistency yesterday. If you were not in the session, please look out for the replay, right? So much value in there. Now, I'm talking about consistency again because there is no way you say you want to raise a responsible and independent child and you take away the conversation about consistency. When you are consistent with your routines, you are building trust, you are building security. Children know what to expect, and this reduces the level of anxiety that children may, have to deal with. And then consistency also reinforces good habits, right? Consistency reinforces good habits. When children are placed on, let me use the bedtime routine as an example. When children have to repeat their bedtime routine day one, day two, day 10, day 30, day 65, day 70, it becomes a part of them. And that's a good habit that they have developed. Do you understand?